It's one thing to acknowledge, as we both just did, that the right solution is ultimately to have Palestinians, as Sharon put it, governing over themselves. And that you have to acknowledge, because I don't see another solution that works. It's quite another to say, we know what the end state is going to look like, because there is so much work between now and then. So I would say to the Arabs, could you concentrate now on how to create the conditions for a Palestinian state? And that includes insisting on some reform among the Palestinians themselves.
I agree with that completely. It also requires that, for example, in the West Bank, the kind of settlement activity that has been permitted and promoted by this version of the Israeli government has to cease.
Our own Nora O'Donnell sat down with former Secretaries of State Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice earlier today to talk about the ceasefire in Gaza. Now, as part of the ceasefire plan, Israel is starting to pull back troops from parts of Gaza. The Israeli military posted this video on social media of the drawback. CBS News reporter Haley Ott has the very latest from Tel Aviv.
The ceasefire came into effect at noon local time here after another night of strikes in Gaza. We heard from our colleagues there that earlier at least 8 people had been killed, but now the fighting has stopped. People are able to move back towards Gaza City, though they've been warned to avoid certain areas and not approach Israeli troops. A visibly emotional IDF spokesperson made a statement saying that the Israeli army had withdrawn to an agreed-upon line still within Gaza, as stipulated in the White House peace plan. Now, a 72-hour countdown has started for Hamas to release the hostages, meaning we could see that happen anytime in the next 3 days. The Red Cross, which has facilitated previous hostage releases, says it has begun its preparations, and a list of names of over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners to be freed in the exchange has been finalized. And we expect the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza to increase imminently. Italy's Ministry of Defense said 600 trucks of aid a day will enter Gaza through Egypt. Meetings have already begun to discuss the so-called day after in Gaza, as what's been approved is only the first phase of that 20-point White House peace proposal. It doesn't include provisions that are much more complicated, like how Hamas will disarm, whether it will continue to play any part in Palestinian politics, and who will eventually govern Gaza. But all that will come later. For now, the people here in Israel and in Gaza are relieved that this deal appears to be working. Back to you.
Haley, thank you for that. We just received this new video of humanitarian trucks preparing to enter Gaza through the Rafah crossing. The truck drivers, who are from Egypt, are carrying aid and celebrating the ceasefire. Let's bring in Will Todman. He is a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies Middle East program. Will, thank you so much for being with us. How optimistic are you that this peace agreement is going to hold? I mean, after years of conflicts and attempts at an agreement, what makes this one different?
Well, thanks so much for having me. I am cautiously optimistic. I think the steps that we're likely to see just over the next 72 hours are very important. The fact that fighting already has stopped, the fact that aid trucks are going to start getting in. We're likely to see more than 10 times the number of trucks getting in every day than have been getting in over the last few months. And then, of course, the release of the hostages, which is due to happen before Monday at noon local time. These are things that Israelis and Palestinians have been calling for months, if not years. And so I think this is already very important progress. But of course, the much more difficult questions are still to come. There are big divides that need to be crossed between the position of the Israeli government and of Hamas. But so long as President Trump remains really engaged and wielding the leverage that he has, I think there is a chance that this could be the start of a more sustainable peace.
Now, a good reminder, this is just phase 1 of this peace agreement. Now, after the hostages are brought back home and the troops fully withdraw, there's still so much to be agreed upon. What do you think is the biggest point of contention moving forward?
I think that's probably the withdrawal that you said. Although we have seen the IDF has begun to withdraw from parts of the Gaza Strip, they're still in control of about 55% of it. Hamas believe that under the terms of the agreement, the Israeli army must withdraw from all of the Gaza Strip, whereas the Israeli officials have said that they envision at least having a buffer zone around the edge of that Gaza Strip. So I think there are really important questions there, which will probably need to be tackled in the next weeks and months. And then, of course, the questions about the governance of Gaza going forward. Who will be in the technocratic government that this plan envisions? Can they get the buy-in of Palestinians in Gaza? And what role, if any, would Hamas play in that? These are going to be very, very difficult questions to work through. And I think the key to it is maintaining the engagement of the US president and other key mediators from the region. And if they keep their foot on the pressure there, if they keep driving towards compromises on both sides, there's just a chance that this might actually work.
Yeah, and Bibi Netanyahu is worth mentioning that he's pushed back on this idea of the Palestinian Authority being involved in governing Gaza. And as you mentioned, still not clear when Israel will withdraw all of its troops. If some of these issues, though, are not ironed out, and they're big issues, is there some concern that the entire peace agreement will fall through and the fighting could resume?
That's definitely a concern. There are real risks that a miscalculation or a small mistake could escalate quickly and then could result in a resumption of fighting. So that's always going to be a challenge over the next few months. I think the key is that this first phase will buy some time. It will buy time for humanitarian aid to get in, to begin to address the humanitarian crisis that, of course, has been playing out on our screens over the last 2 years, but exacerbating in the last few months. Time to begin to build trust as well, as those mediators do their really challenging task of beginning to work out what this could actually look like. And I think the fact that the United States has sent 200 troops to contribute to a monitoring center is a really good sign. That indicates that the US will continue to be engaged. So I think the best we can hope for is that we have a period of calm that can be extended and that we manage to avoid those mistakes or miscalculations that end up blowing up into a much bigger conflict again.
Will Todman, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.